How many of you have the discipline to join the $60,000 club? How many of you are going to be in the McDonald's club? Well, he's the guy I would trust with my 50. I'd throw to him because he'd make it, but he's very humble, but he's correct. Yeah. Anyway, BIDU, breakout, right? Let's do it. Let's put together a few ideas for what we're going to do on Monday, right? How would you trade Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday? BIDU, where would you go long for the next play? Let's say on Monday the market opens up flat. The stock opens up at, say, 97 or 96 and a half. So it's inside this consolidation region, right? That's your immediate support and resistance within which you break outside of the range, right? Where would be along on this? Where would you buy this stock? 98.6. Yeah, 98.6, 98.7, right. Just over the half point above the 98. Where would you go short? Now, I wouldn't short inside 95 to 96. Why is that? Because we've penetrated support several times under that whole number, right? Do you see here? It's here, I'll tell you what, great idea from Steve, too, was to provide a chart that doesn't cause eye strain, so you can see exactly what's going on here. The one-day chart, do you see how it's dropped under the 96 at least twice? So that would make it suspect for a short within that 1 point range. For a stock like this, it has an 84 to 97 range. This is a day trader's, best dream for a stock, right? We've got 13 sticks worth of range in this stock on a one day. That's 13 points, right? You can make a lot of money with that, right? Is that not the stock that I told you earlier that would be one of the, that's, right? BIDU and what was the other? Sears Holding, right? Yeah. We'll look at that one next. So where would the short be on this? So do you understand? The reason why I would not go short at, say, 95.4 is because we've muddied the noise with, we've muddied the signal with noise here. We've dropped under support a couple of times at 96. So I would avoid 95 to 96. That would be a very dangerous place to trade within. So I'm not going to trade inside 95 to 96. Where would we go short then? 94.7. Yeah, 94.7 or 8, right, exactly, just under that 95. So you're in the business of being professional risk managers as traders. When you're looking at these charts, always err on the side of being more conservative rather than less, right? You always want to set an extra safety margin. If it's that sharp of a retracement or a drop, then absolutely, and a 94.7 or so should be fine. And follow up on this and email me. You'll all email us, oh yeah, it would have been good for 1.5 points next week. Yeah, anyway, 94.7 on the short, 98.6, somewhere over 98.5 on the long, right? Let's see what else we have. And by the way, if you haven't noticed, I'm relentless when it comes to my chart analysis. I don't need to be going through charts right now, but it's what I do. You have to have a love and a passion for this. You have to want to figure it out. You have to have a hunger for solving the puzzle when it comes to these charts. And once you know the exact strategies, as we've been covering today, with very great accuracy, as you can see, you can become successful in it. Okay, SHLD. Let me, actually, that's not the complete chart. Okay, that's the complete chart. So we've got support at where? Where's that intra-range bear cup support? Yeah, 132, right. Laura's got it. 132 is your support line. And we're going to use 134 and a half. This is technical resistance is 134.3, but so where would your short be on that on Monday morning, assuming that we're opening up somewhere near the close? Where would your short be? 131.5 I hear. What else? 131.7. What else? I'd use 131.4. I'd want it to lose that half point. I would treat that 131.5 as this area is suspect, right? How do you say this? That 132 to 131.5 is going to be the false breakdown, or likely if there's going to be a false breakdown region, the noise and the signal, so you want to avoid within that half point. Wait for it to lose 131.5 and look for a short at 131.4. That's the trade. And what's our max target or max trade expectancy from that? No further down than where? Yeah, 130, right, you got it. And we would likely start to see some chop and churn and bouncing and so forth around 130.2, 130.3 in that area. So that would be the exit area for that. Let's look on the upside. Let's say we would break resistance at 134.5. Where would your long trigger be in this stock? How many people would buy 134.5? How many people would buy 134.7? How many people would buy 135.3? That's me, 135.3. I'm going to be a bit more skeptical. Yeah, I'm going to keep clear of that. Because, again, this is a $130 stock. You're not going to tolerance that to within half a point, right? That's too close to the upper spec limit on the chart, right? Talking like a quality engineer, which I am. I would not buy that stock unless it gets over 135 and 3/8, 135.3, right? On that next whole number up above, that whole number that had been broken out just over again. Now, 134.7 though, if what? Do you see these two data points right here? If those two, if this whole thing had occurred down in the top of all that stuff was here, then I'd be okay with 134.7. But since it broke over 134 as a whole number, I'm going to treat that whole region as suspect and wait for it to roll up over the next whole number. Okay, do you see that? And follow up for yourself and hold me accountable and test it. I mean, I'm making actual calls and you'll see how they work out.
So far, pretty good.
Yeah, thanks. Figured it out. Only took, 6-7 years, but it's and that's from a statistician or quality guy. It took me years to get it. So hopefully I can shortcut your need to go through all that agonizing thousands of hours watching ChartScope and down to learn this stuff, right? So, yeah.
If this gaps down on Monday, what would you do?
Okay, question is, if it gaps down on Monday, what would I do? My question back would be, gaps down to where? 130.50, I wouldn't see any trade in there. Possibly 131.7 on the upside, or short would be down where?
40.
Would be down here. If we gapped open to right here, I wouldn't, again, the 2-day chart, you won't be seeing what's currently day one, right? You'd only see from this point forward, and that would tell me the short would be down at, say, 127.7 if we open here, right? And earliest long would be if it gets up over, say, that 131.7 I would use. And I would expect no more than, say, 133 out of it. I wouldn't expect it to clear the 134. So, good questions. Everyone's starting to get it? I want everybody to be successful at this. I want you to stay in touch and tell me how you're doing. I want you to tell me how soon you get to 60K on a 50K paper if you strictly adhere to what I've been teaching you. I'm very confident you'll do very well with it. It's just a matter of, I know though, this is thousands of customers at traders and years later, I'm going to hear from someone who's going to say, but Ken, I did a breakout on this stock and it's going to be a stock that only has a 1-point range, or it's going to be a stock that's not in a strong sector. It's going to violate one of the rules that I'm telling you. Make sure you put the technical fences around every trade for the guidelines that I've been teaching you. Understand all the different things that you want to put in place before a trade. Every time you take a stop, it's because you didn't follow one of the rules, right? If you follow these rules, it's a very consistent system, but you have to know all the 6 or 7 things that you do in tandem to justify a trade entry. And yeah, if we have a microphone, we've got a question over here.
You may have covered this morning, but when you're looking at a stock and it gaps up or it gaps down, how big of a gap is significant? I mean, if it gaps above yesterday's high by 3 ticks, is that enough to say it's significant, or do you want to see a point or a point and a half? Or
Good question. How big of a gap is significant? To me, it doesn't matter. As long as, anything that's outside of previous day's range is worth a look. It's worth a careful technical look for me, and I will treat it the same. I would trade the gap continuation the same as I would a 2-day high breakout, because we're going to use the same kind of patterns, right? The same kind of technical patterns to justify an entry. So if we do get, say, and there was one this morning, I think it was Sepracor, if I remember correctly, that I've got a photographic memory, as you can see. This is a stock that opens up here as, that would be that kind of example, right, where it opens up just a few ticks, right? We're using 55 resistance. Where would the entry be on this? We had a good call this morning, but let's say for tomorrow, for Monday, where would the long be on this? And the answer is I would treat it the same regardless of if it's a 20-point gap or a 2-point. And the main thing is what kind of price elasticity and depth of the cup and so forth do you have during the gap range that stock establishes during the open and the pre-market, right? The pre-market cup pattern. Where would your long be in this stock come Monday morning? Actually, Tuesday's better, but if Monday we get some volume in this stock, where would a breakout long be on this? 56 1/4. As long as we don't have a minor choppy gap up here, let's say it opens up near 55 or 55.2, I'd be okay with the 55.6, just clearing that half point, right? So anything slightly over 55.5, because this stock has held support throughout the session, and it's making a nice, a bullish cup pattern to the 55 and closed on a breakout over the bullish cup. So we have to look at what the pre-market's going to do come Monday morning, right? If, however, it's pre-market and it's chopping around right under the 55.5, then I would roll it on up and use 56.3 for the long trigger, okay? How about a short? Let's say we open up Monday morning and we open up Monday morning somewhere inside that box range, extrapolate out to Monday. Where would your short be? I hear 53.25. Where else? 53.4. If we open up inside 54 to 55, then I'm okay at 53.8, 53.7 on a short. Because I'm not going to be looking at day one, right? We're not going to see this day. Come Monday, we're going to see, it'll be smaller than that, but we're going to see this pattern. And I'm asking if we open up between 54, let's say on Monday morning we open up here, okay? I'm okay with shorting that at 53.8, 53.7, right? Right? I can tell learning's occurred because your entry and exit calls are getting closer and closer within a nickel or dime of where I'd be looking. So that's good. And does everyone understand that? And again, remember, you're not going to second guess yourself by looking at a 3-day chart and then saying, well, gee, there's a support line back here, 3 days. You only use a rolling 2-day chart, right? You're only looking at previous day's OHLC and then where the pre-market and the current day is and where the breakout and breakdown triggers are going to be. Everyone get that? It's good. This stuff works. I stand behind it. I know it works. So just test it for yourself. I think you'll be pleasantly impressed when you see the results in your own trading account. CTSH. Yeah, okay. Just about 2 points. Volume's okay. How would you trade this on Monday morning? Actually, personally, I wouldn't trade that. There's better fish to fry. There's better stocks out there than that one. But it's okay. But, if I wanted to make, say, $1,200 on Monday morning, I'm trading this stock. 3, 2, 1, bang. BIDU, right? I'm just so good at time. Anyway, that's a BIDU. That's where the money's going to be at, right? And Monday morning, that's where money's at, right? Is trading that stock. Gun to the head, if I had to make $1,200 on Monday, that's the stock I'm going to be trading. Multiple times, too. I'd be clipping out halves, 0.7s here and there. Maybe I'll take a haircut, a dime 15 cent on a false breakout attempt. Out of 6 or 7 trades, I would expect to have 4 right and maybe 1 or 2 stops at most, right? Maybe 1 scratch trade, 1 small stop, and 4 moderate wins from 0.4 to 0.7, right? That's the recipe. That's how you work this.
You were telling us to use a range of 30 to 70 of stock, and this one and share the Sears are way over that. So it wouldn't even be on my list if you're telling us to still have a list.
No, there's no upper limit on the price of the stocks that I would trade. We made many calls on CME, which is a $300 stock, yeah. But the aggregate of when you're scanning, most of the stocks that you're going to find out there for intraday trading will be 30 to 70. But yeah, you will have, certainly there's this one, there's CME, there's Google and SHLD, Research in Motion, DNA, possibly. Those are ones that come to mind that are over that. I wouldn't avoid trading, the higher the price stock, the better, especially if it's accompanied by enough volume and enough range. CME is a really great stock when it has volume. Unfortunately, it's got great range, but it's an example of one that's typically lower in volume. You can see previous day 297 to 306. So a 10-point range stock, but the volume bars, the permanent volume is almost always under 10K. So that one would be too risky, right? That one's too dangerous with that volume profile. The money, as I said it would be this morning, was in Baidu, right? BIDU. What are we at? 84 to 98. So that's a 14-point range. What else do we see technically from a volume standpoint? High closing range volume breakout right to the upside. That's institutional buying that took it from 90 to 97. We can expect to see some volatility Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. This is one to keep your eyes on. I'm not necessarily long biased. I would short it in a heartbeat on a drop under the 95, right? The 94.7 or so, right? That's the right place to get it. Well, yeah, sure. If you go long at 98.6, you'd be closing out at least half of your position at, say, 99.7, 97, even 99.5. I'd close out half just because it's getting close to the 100 and start to use a logarithmic, much tighter trailing stop as the stock gets closer to, say, the 100, right? Where would be the next breakout over 100? Would you buy 100.3? How many people would buy 100.3? Okay, good. You're avoiding the McDonald's club so far. How many of you would buy 100.5? 100.7? Good. That was a trick question. Where would you buy this stock? 101.5 or 6 or so, right? Give it that point clearance and half, right? Because on a $100 stock, you want to give it a 1.5 for signal. You know, it's a signal above the noise range because, again, everyone, it's obvious to the street and the market makers and the hedge fund traders and the prop traders that 100 is going to be resistance, and you're going to have people out there gunning for your traders who are going to buy the first breakout just over the 100, right? So you're smart enough now to avoid 100 to 101, right? You're going to go 101.6 or 7. On a continuation above that 101, then you can have a high probability of success on a continuation long, but 100 to 101 is too risky, so good. All right, well, enough charts. Let's do a closing in a minute. Let's do a closing activity. One of the things that I want you to do is work on a couple of things. I want you to have some specific action planning put together so that you are actually doing something different next week in your trading. One of the frustrations I have as a trainer and people worldwide is that implementation, you're nodding their head yes and understanding is here, but implementation 3 weeks from now when I go back and audit what you'd be doing if I was an audit looking at your trades is down here. To help us not do that, to help make sure that you're actually doing this stuff back on the job, I want to help you develop a job aid or a job assistant, something to map out your process so that you've got a step-by-step guideline to follow next time you're back on the trade. So, a couple of things. First is I'd like to ask you to dig out your flow charts that you worked on yesterday, right? We're going to finish those up today. I want you to also identify specific trading goals. Let's just identify 2 goals. What are the characteristics of successful, effective goals? Does this sound like an effective goal? I'm going to be better with my entries and my exits, and I'm going to do a better job of scanning. Is that an effective goal that's actionable? No. Specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, time-bounded, corporate 101 training stuff, right? Goals need to be specific and time-bounded, or else they're just dreams, hope, wishes, and words. Okay? I want you to actually do something differently, right? I'm the taskmaster. I don't have to do that, but I want you to succeed. So to do that, you need to be specific and have a time-bounded plan that you put in place in terms of what specific changes to your trading style and trading strategy you're going to be implementing in your personal trading over the next 4 to 6 weeks. So, with that, I'd like to ask you to work in pairs if you want, or individually. It's up to you. If you're a social person, you'll probably want to team up with somebody next to you, or individually. I want you to put together your final version, or at least a more detailed version of your flow chart that you'd gotten started on yesterday. Identify 2 specific trading goals in terms of what you're going to be doing differently, and I want you to identify your biggest trading barrier. I want you to prioritize what's your biggest trading barrier or challenge that you're going to focus on getting rid of by applying some of the techniques that Steve and I have shared with you during this last 2 days. Does that sound good? I know it's late, but I want you to actually do this and succeed, right? And to do that, you have to have a concrete, specific, measurable plan of action. As you would as any business executive or any corporate world that you want to implement change in, I want you to identify changes to your process using metrics and using a very specific, again, it doesn't have to be very detailed at this point, but at least put a couple of anchor points in place in terms of specific goals that you have for your trading, an update to your flow chart, and what you're going to do differently back on the job next week that's measurable. That if I were to look over your shoulder, I could see a change in behavior and an improvement in your trading profits and P&L, okay? Imagine I'm the crusty head floor trader at Solomon Brothers or Merrill, and you're one of my employees, and I'm looking over and if I didn't bring my military cap, but I would do that. Anyone see Full Metal Jacket? Yes. What is, on the count of 3, say, what is your major malfunction? 1, 2, 3. What is your major malfunction? I want you to have that image of that person on your shoulder. I want you to be able to justify every single trade that you make. I want that person to be there as your friend to help you improve your trading. Why did you put on that trade? What were the 3 technical signals that came together to help in convergence identify why you got into that trade? What was your risk management plan? Were you doing an iffy trade just because it looked okay, or did you have a very specific trading plan mapped out? And remember, in the pre-market, you know, we do that. You put out both your long, short, and consolidation plans for what you expect in that stock and how you'd manage the trade from start to finish. So that's the approach or the process that I want you to take to become successful in your own personal trading. That's what it takes. So nothing less than the best and very specific, very detailed, very correct, very accurate trading. Okay? That's how you do it. I hope that at least 10% of you are actually successful, okay? Having said that and trained thousands of people, most people don't do the hard work that it takes to be successful in their trading. I mean, you hear Steve, you see the very detailed, very methodical, very accurate, very specific patterns. How well do you implement against those when you see those? And the patterns that I've shared with you as well, the things you need to look for. You need to be 100% on, or else it's your money, right? So I want you to turn 50 into 60, okay? I'll come over in a minute and answer a question. All right, so with that, let's work on our process flow chart, finish it up, identify 2 specific time-bounded goals for your trading, and also one of the major challenges that you're going to prioritize and focus on solving in the weeks ahead. Okay, that's it. The room comes alive. We'll follow up and get a debrief from y'all in about 20 minutes, but you know, I'm hard and disciplined and extremely wealthy because I am disciplined and hard, and that's what it takes. If you don't have the mettle, if you don't have the characteristics or the personality temperament to go deep into this and understand exactly what you need to do differently and adhere to it, then trading's not for you. If you want to be successful at trading, you've got to have a plan and you've got to be extremely detailed, specific, and understand it so that you can be successful. That's what it takes. So, all right, the room comes alive with the sound of slightly tired but enthusiastic and newly energized traders as they put together a success plan that's very specific that'll help you improve your trading in the weeks ahead. And there we go.
You just don't want to write it down, do you? Write it down. Well, I know. All right,
The test is only 4 major markets.
Test it, yeah, that's try it out and test it paper, you know, for say 20 trading sessions and see how consistent it is. What you'll probably need to do is adjust some of the parameters because I don't know what the scale of measurement is for those instruments. They allow you to adjust these things like whatever it is you're trading.
I'm stuck on my question. Here's my question. He just told us what targets to do on media. Yeah, let me give you an example, for instance. So I had to get in at 98.6. What's most important?
She's wrong. To begin with. Yeah, I would like to see more of the, like actual. Yeah, I know he was calling the numbers, but to actually like stay in on like fighting and say, okay, we're watching the tape. Okay, there you go. 10 buys, 5 or 6.
Well, like, quite a piece of paper, I must go like this.
just take it right here, and just push this right here, and drag it up 5 cents.
Yeah, so I wonder at this point.
That's it. So just tighten the trim stone, tighten it up. So what I'll do is actually, I'll actually take this here, pull it down a nickel, and confirm it, yes.
Oh, it brings
Yeah.
up a little
So-
it says confirmed, and it's automatically done by
So I've got it over, see right there? It shows you what's
Yeah.
just age our person.
Oh, I'll probably have a buffet tomorrow. I'll do the buffet. Yeah, 6:30, 6:30. I don't know about the weekends, but
I never